So how do we get the downswing started? It's one of the questions that comes up all the time. There's one key motion with your body in transition to get the most important part of the golf swing done. Rob and I are going to dive into that right now. All right, guys, in today's video, we're talking about how to start the downswing. There's really one key move, Rob, that kind of couples a couple things together to be able to get the most important parts of the downswing done. Now, we talked last video, if you guys didn't watch that, we'll put it at the end, about how to get the arms coming down in sequencing. In today's video, we're talking about how the body starts the downswing.
Yeah.
Rob Cheney to my right, by the way, appreciate you coming out here.
Great to be here.
Thanks for being here. If you haven't seen Rob's videos, we're gonna put a link down in the description. Go check those out after you watch this one.
After.
But Rob, there's a concept for starting the downswing that I really enjoy, that I've watched you do videos on, about how the lead side of the body is gonna initiate the downswing. If you could talk us through that.
Definitely. This is a key move, particularly in any shot you hit from the ground. Really helps a golfer to get the necessary amount forward in the downswing. So however you choose to do the weight shift in the golf swing, I think it's fair to say that all good golfers have their weight forward when they hit the ball.
Yeah.
Right? There's nobody who's any good who's got their weight on their back foot. So
Right.
however you choose to do the weight piece throughout the swing, you need to be forward by the time you hit the ball.
Yeah.
And then in order to make sure that's most likely to happen, a great way to feel that transition is for the lead shoulder and the lead knee to stay down for the little first piece in the transition, down and forward, I'll describe it as.
Yeah.
And in the stack and tilt book, if anyone's read that, it's a crush the can analogy.
Okay.
As if you're getting to the top and you're crushing a soda can, like an empty can of soda or something like that, right?
Yeah.
It's that pressure moving down and forwards before it moves up. And that piece gets lost by a lot of players, and consequently they never get far enough forward at impact. They top the ball, they hit fat, and they struggle with contact. So you watch good golfers in their transition before they start to open up, and again, we spoke about that in the last video, the epidemic of excessively opening up too quickly in the downswing. That happens later than people think. And it's just this small little down and forward shift in the transition before the opening up that really helps golfers to get forward enough, early enough in the downswing.
Yeah, love that, Rob. And we said really there's two things that we would see most golfers, who struggle with this part on the way down. Either they don't get their weight forward enough ever,
Yeah.
or they do it too late.
Yeah.
Right? And I've seen many a golf swing where that's true. The better players get more forward, they do it sooner.
Yeah.
And the secondary problem with the down, and forward part and the slanting of the knee and the shoulder would be the golfer might actually have the knee and the shoulder go up right away.
They would.
Right? Could you demonstrate a bad version of the up right away movement?
Absolutely, yeah. So from the top, pushing immediately up,
Yeah.
so the legs straighten, some early extension, lead shoulder goes up.
Yeah.
That's also becoming more prevalent as golfers are trying to spike the vertical ground reaction forces, push into the ground faster. And whilst the idea of that can add some speed, if you do that too much or too soon and you never got forward enough first, then it's wasted.
Yeah, that's right.
You have to go down and forward first to be in a position where you could begin to push back up again. And
Yeah.
so this is the key move in the downswing.
So, and we're going to talk about that through the ball in the next video, in a couple days. So as we're doing the shoulder and the knee down and forward, a couple questions on that. If we were to add some details of how much and when.
Yeah.
So from a when perspective, we're talking that's happening like effectively immediately as soon as the downswing, however we define the start of the downswing, as soon as that's happening?
Yeah, I would say it's happening as the golfer's reaching the top of their backswing. I'd start by making sure a golfer has their feet turned out.
Okay.
Particularly the lead foot for this movement, because it helps to turn the knees out as well. So golfers who have the feet too straight would suffer from a number of things in my experience, but for this particular drill, the knee is a flexion extension joint. It wants to move in the direction that it's pointing effectively. So if you have it too turned in, it's actually much more difficult to shift into it.
Okay.
Some golfers do, and some people have slightly different ranges of motion, but you put a lot more stress on the joint, so you probably don't want to do that for too long. So turn the foot out. Turn the foot out, turn the knee out. I would do both, but turn the lead foot and lead knee out. That helps with that directional component of the knee moving in that direction to start the downswing. And to answer your question specifically, from the top, immediately as I'm reaching the top, it's happening right in transition. There's a great example swing of the Grant Waite swing, the blue shirt that I think we should show everybody.
Yeah, classic.
Where, you know, he's reaching the top, and just as he's reaching the top, he's already moving to the left in that very first part of the downswing. Staying closed with the body, meaning he's not opening up too quickly, staying closed with his turns, and just leaning or drifting towards the target, just for that little split second to start the swing.
Yeah, and from an amount perspective of like the left knee and the left shoulder, would you like are getting them forward of the ankle? How would you describe that?
Yeah, I would say the lead knee getting in front of the lead ankle by P6, where the shaft's parallel to the ground, is a nice one. If golfers aren't filming their swings, they should be.
Yeah.
But if they're not, which I know a lot of people don't, I'd really use the contact with the ball to determine whether you're doing this enough or not. So if a golfer's hitting fat shots, thin shots, so poor contact, that's likely going to be the fact they're not far enough forwards.
Yeah.
So if you get farther forward in the early downswing and you're more to the left when you hit the ball, that should equal better compression, nicer contact.
2 more questions.
Yeah.
The first one, as you're doing this, how do we take into account the arm piece that we talked about in video 1 from a timing perspective when they're practicing this? I love the knee outside the ankle by P6, which sort of inherently means that the arms have to come down right as we're doing this.
Yes.
But is it like a blending of those? What is the timing of those?
It's definitely a blending. And it's hard to say exactly how much because it's very player dependent. The last video was for the golfer who wasn't moving their arms down correctly.
Yeah.
I would say that the checkpoint is to do the drill to P6, trying to stay down and forward with the lead shoulder and the lead knee. So there's no popping up happening yet.
Yeah.
Staying down and forward for as long as they can and bringing that shaft down to P6.
Okay.
That involves the arms at a pretty reasonable rate, an appropriate rate, really.
It kind of gets them both done at the same time.
Yeah, you don't want to do the drill, to your point, you don't want someone just moving down and forward.
Right.
Like, that's not going to work.
Yeah, there's too much and too little.
There is.
Last one, and then I want to hop in there and try this.
Okay.
So the down piece of the shoulder and the knee, I've heard you say really builds in the down component of the swing. And so for someone who's watching who might have the shoulder and the knee go up right away, that might be the golfer who struggles to take a divot, hit the ground, compress it. And so the forward part, Rob, I'm assuming kind of takes care of the low point moving forward, but the down motion of it is part of what builds in the downward motion of the arc to be able to hit the ground in the first place. Agreed,
100%. And I think, you know, if I had to summarize golfers into a big bucket of the biggest problem, it's this low point control.
Yeah.
Making good contact and getting the divot, any divot at all, or that divot being far enough forward.
Yeah.
And this drill really is designed to take care of both of those pieces.
Love it. Let me hop in there. Okay. So as someone's practicing this, and as you guys are doing this here, obviously we talked last time about the sequencing of the arms, and then depending upon your ball flight, when you're coming down, as we're doing this, right, I'm going to get the club shaft roughly parallel to the ground. Have it in line with my hands, or probably air on a little inside of that.
Yeah.
All things equal.
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
So I'm up to the top, and I'm feeling the knee forward of the ankle.
Yeah.
The shoulder feels like it's
more
forward.
Closed, right? You're staying more closed with the shoulders.
Yeah. So okay. So I'm not going like.
No.
This way.
No.
Okay.
And those from the front view, you see when you do it incorrectly, you notice how you notice how the pelvis moves back.
Yeah.
That would be, you know, completely synonymous with the poorest players swinging across the ball, hitting behind the ball. And there's one thing that I think gets missed in terms of the pelvis movement is that whilst there's both a sway and a turn, is predominantly the sway piece that happens first and early, and then the opening up happens much later. And I feel like the message generally is that the hips should open immediately, and that gets people out of sync.
Yeah, gotcha.
So this drill helps to keep that it helps to improve that sequence.
So as I'm making this move here, my knee and my shoulder are working down and forward. I'm almost getting my belt buckle
in front of the ball.
Yeah, in front of the ball. Okay, that's a
great
nice reference. Okay.
I like that. Get the middle of the pelvis in front of the ball early. Once it's there, you've got everything in place just to let it go. You're ready. You're set. You've got everything done early in the downswing, and then you can just let it go.
And to tease that, our next video that'll come out in a couple days is going to talk about how do we go from there through the ball, go from left side bend to right side bend, how do we tuck the hips, etc. But why don't I hit one or two with that same sort of sensation? So same feels, Rob, of like, hey, I'm letting my arms come down.
Yeah.
I'm feeling the left knee and shoulder forward of the ankle.
Yeah, and I really like how much that's moving forward there.
And in the beginning of this, like you'll probably notice when I do this, and I think we would not be shy about allowing myself to drift quite a bit. As I work through, in reality, I'm going to be having my hips go forward and have more right tilt, which will keep my head more back. I'm going to tuck my hips. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, I would say most golfers probably need to be a little bit more exaggerated with how much they do it.
I mean, I was just watching you do that drill. I was about to jump in and say that exact line. Okay,
Yeah.
as exactly do it more.
We're on the same page.
You're probably not doing it enough.
And to your point, you would get evidence by the ball.
The ball, the divot,
The ball,
the location of the low point. Yeah.
Did I hit the ground? It was my divot in front of the ball.
Exactly.
Okay. Left knee, left shoulder down and forward as my arms come down. Yeah, and there's a good strike. A little push to the right there, but I would take that all day. Let me do another one here as I'm doing that.
This is a great way to think about just getting the weight forward, which people can get the weight forward in, the interpretation of weight forward can be different for every player. This drill, this feel can be a very nice one to get it forward enough, ready for impact.
I like that, even like the left knee outside my ankle, belt buckle forward of the ball. That was a better compressed one.
That was
there.
nice, yeah. So the divot, if you struggle with contact, struggle with compressing the ball, struggle taking a divot, this is a good way to think about the transition.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to hit one more, Rob, and then we'll wrap this bad boy up. Left shoulder, left knee, down and forward. And I find, we're going to talk more in the next video about, hey, what do I do from here? But I find for myself and a lot of players I work with, getting this part correct early, to your point, puts you in a position where you can do the next pieces and oftentimes can take care of a lot of that, right? It's like by doing that, you start to get some of the reactions from there. So left knee, left shoulder down and forward.
Yeah.
Let's do one more. Yeah, that was better.
That's one of the three, I think.
So I like that, Rob.
Nice.
Getting the weight shift forward, right? Being like the most important priority.
It's fundamental number one.
Yeah.
Control the bottom of the arc.
I like that. It's a simple reference point. Obviously, if you guys are filming yourself, that's a good, compare yourself to the Grant model that we use throughout there, but ultimately use your compression and how you hit the ball. If you like Rob and you want to check out more of his videos, which I would highly recommend, we'll put that link in the description down below. A couple days from now, we're going to do that video that I mentioned of, okay, how do I actually get through the ball correctly? We'll do that next. Thank you guys for watching.